What's up guys, it's Captain Production 72 and in the past I've brought you collecting all of the Clone Troopers, collecting every LEGO Indiana Jones minifigure, and on my other series at the time of filming this, collecting every Clone Wars minifigure. But today we do something even cooler, and this is even more fun because it's more of a challenge and it might take longer. And unlike those, there will be more gaps in between episodes. This is collecting every LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga minifigure, which will be both fun and extremely hard, because not every minifigure you play as in the Complete Saga exists as a LEGO minifigure. Some of them did eventually exist. Years down the line they were made, and some of them still don't exist as minifigures, and some of them are real minifigures. There's three categories to look at. So there's the ones that are straight up minifigures that do exist. For example, the Siege Trooper. There is figures that exist but slightly different with changes. So for example, a minifigure has been swapped from flesh tone to, or from yellow to flesh tone. Then there's that category of figures that that were straight up customs in the game, didn't exist, and when they were eventually made by LEGO, they look nothing like that. And this series will be quite fun. There is roughly, give or take, I think 66, funny number there, I think there's 66 minifigures I currently don't have. Now that's not including those weird combination minifigures that you could make in the hub. I may actually buy some of the random parts and make something like that, just because why not? So this is the first episode in the series. So here's kind of how it's going to work. I'm going to try, and at first I'll do as many customs as I can. In fact, you can already see some minifigures that to some people might look a bit cussed, but they're based off the render, so they're actually correct. At first, I want to try and get as many of the LEGO figures as possible. The ones that were real. There's a few figures here that need to be changes made to them, but they're on the stand anyway, because, why not? I already had them. We're going to go in order. This will be a long video. The first episodes of these kind of series usually are quite long. So let's jump in with the minifigures, and I'll explain kind of more of my process at the end. But I'm going to show you the figures we're already putting on, because we've got quite a few, as you can see. I guarantee you're scratching your head looking at some of these figures. But yeah, we're going to go through these, starting with, and I'll point out which ones are real, because there's a few ones that may confuse you, and a few ones that need some explaining. So we're going to start off with the first one up, the Phantom Menace level, or group of levels, and that is TC14. Now this TC14 specifically is a custom minifigure. We did get a TC14 in 2012 as the May the 4th be with you, but that one is far too detailed to use here. But you can see really nice, a little bit hard to see the print. It's a little bit hard on the chrome, but yeah, I just went for the chrome version because I do own the 2007 gold chrome 3PO, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to have the chrome versions. Might not be completely game accurate, but I will be talking more about the accuracy part at the end, but pretty cool minifigure nonetheless. Now, the next minifigure we got up here is the original Jar Jar Binks from 1999. There was a whole bunch of the sets that year. I think this figure's final appearance was in the year 2000, but really nice looking minifigure for the time. Like, this is some of their first attempts, and that's one cool thing about this project. It'll be mostly LEGO's first attempts at certain minifigures, but pretty cool. Just going to throw that one back up there. Our next one is also a custom. So this is Captain Panaka. Now, he is a very basic looking minifigure, but I do like it. He looks straight out the level. It's the it's the Escape Feed level. It's the one in the Phantom Menace where you play as this guy and Queen Amidala. Really nice looking minifigure. Love the classic blaster on this one, just with a solid red stud. It just looks the part. It's perfect. Really cool minifigure indeed. It'll be quite hard to get a hold of one of those Padmes, but that's a custom minifigure. And at the end, I'll be telling you who made what customs, some of the ones at least that I know. Again, we'll get into how I do know and don't know some of them. Our next minifigure up here is basic, and he's trying to take the stud with him. But it's essentially just nothing special. It's just standard R2-D2 that was used from 1999 all the way up to 2008. Nothing cool. Just going to throw him back on the stand. Now our next minifigure is one of these Holy Grail rare minifigures that I own. And this is something I've owned for a couple of years now. This is the 2007 gold chrome C3PO that was randomly inserted into LEGO Star Wars sets back in the day. 2007 to celebrate 30 years of Star Wars. Kind of nuts, we're actually approaching the 50th anniversary already. But yeah, really cool minifigure. Very expensive one, but it's not a figure that I've ever had the chance to use. Like, normally I just display it on the Cloud City set, but I thought, this is the opportunity, this is the time I can actually use it in a display. Pretty cool. Now, our next three minifigures technically have a few inaccuracies that need to be sorted. They need capes. Now, I'm planning at some point to just order a bulk of capes off eBay. I mean, it was back in the day you could do that quite cheap, so I don't see why you couldn't. Now, the first one we got is Yoda. So, and yeah, the lightsaber's a little bit loose, but this is the original Yoda from 2002. He was in a couple sets. He's in the Duel on the Duel on Geonosis set, or the Jedi Duel, I suppose. So what that set was called. The X-Wing in the Hut, and the Wookiee Catamaran. So it's a pretty cool minifigure. Again, he needs a cape, but it's the standard classic Yoda. The same goes for the next two figures. Now, these two figures technically should have different face prints, because both these versions of the minifigures do have the headset print. I do have a version of Obi-Wan with the cape that without that, which I'll probably just swap in at some point. But it's a pretty cool looking minifigure from 05. This is from the Ultimate Space Battle set. And this is back when you got chrome lightsaber hilts, which is quite pretty cool. I'll have to double check in the Complete Saga that do use chrome. I'll be keeping the chrome ones anyway, but maybe I should add to the ones that don't have chrome. Who knows? And the next up is Anakin. Again, they should have different facial prints, but Anakin from 05 only ever came with the headrest. And I'm going to be talking about the accuracy part of this again at the end of the video, whether or not I'm going to replace it with those heads. Because I'm doing this, but I'm doing it as close to Lego as you can. But pretty cool minifigure. Was in a few, I think 2 sets back in 05. Really nice minifigure. We're going to throw that one there. Again, those 3 do require capes. Now, the next one's a really cool custom. And this minifigure and the Magna Guard that you're going to see later are the 2 that made me kind of get right into the Complete Saga customs. And I saw these on Instagram. So this is Sheev Palpatine. He's got that really nice piece at the bottom. This is based off that scene, or level rather, where you're in the Invisible Hand and you're going through the elevator. And at the end of the level, you crash land the ship on Coruscant. Pretty cool looking minifigure. Very different to the one we did eventually get in 2014. So it took them a long while to actually release one, but pretty cool minifigure anyway. And like I said, at the end we'll go for all the customs. So this next minifigure is from the 2005 Turbo Tank, and it's, so the game calls this one essentially just Commander Cody, even though it's not. It's a 327th Star Corps Trooper, and he should have a single blaster. I've not yet swapped that out. He just has the 2 pistols, but pretty cool minifigure anyway. From that, like, what the Obi-Wan versus Grievous level in the game. I'm going to throw him back there. So our next minifigure is just a basic, standard, nothing special Chewbacca minifigure. It looks pretty good. Just to say, that one from that era, the basic one that we got, that was last used in 2012, I think. 2012 or 13 was that figure's last appearance. Our next one is another custom, and this one I don't actually know the origins of. I found this one through eBay, and this is meant to be Luke Skywalker from the Jungle Waste and, I suppose, Mos Eisley Cantina levels of the game. And I'm sure he plays him again in the Death Star. But he's one of the very few figures here that has a Complete Saga-esque expression. And he looks pretty cool, the light printing. It's essentially just the 1999 look, but coloured in the correct skin tone. I never bought a lot of these with the intention of doing this series, but since I have them, it's kind of something I kind of want to do now. It's a really cool minifigure. Some of these I had to import from foreign countries, which probably that's what put me off this for the longest time, but I found ways to do that more cheap and more effective. Our next one's really cool. This one is Han Solo based off the Hoth levels, and this is a really cool one. I added the pistol to it because in the game he uses the Indiana Jones style pistol, and we'll get on to Indiana Jones at some point in this. Oh, no, I dropped him there, but pretty cool, based off that Hoth level where you're trying to escape and go to the Falcon, which is quite cool. And we're going to put him there. Now, the next one is, the next 2 actually, are from official sets. We got Leia from the 2006 X-Wing, this is accurate to that level. She goes around with Han. Some of them don't have the correct weapons. I've not yet got round to it. It's kind of like the whole thing with the capes is the first episode, so there'll be imperfections on some of the things. Things I need to change or swap out. But standard layer from then. It's not a smooth-haired one or anything. Pretty cool, though. Our next one, also from said set, and it was in one of the Hoth Echo set-based sets as well. This is Luke Skywalker in the pilot outfit, which you play as when he's on Dagobah briefly. He does have a blaster, but I've left the lightsaber on. Again, we'll change these kind of things at some point. Got that basic facial expression, nothing too special. Just going to throw him back up there. So the next one is a really goated minifigure that I've got, and this is the Lando Calrissian from the Cloud City, which is quite cool. And here he is. This is the one that you got back in the day. Pretty cool minifigure indeed. Yeah. Not too much else to say on the Lando, so put him back there. I do have another Lando coming up, but just needs changes made to it to be accurate. So the next minifigure is a Luke Skywalker. Now, this is the one that you could get in the Death Star from 2008. Now, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda, he requires a cape to be completely accurate. Again, at some point, I will just surplus order capes. I think I have capes in here somewhere, but to be fair, like, I have no idea where those capes are. Otherwise, I'd have kitted them out for this video, but still pretty cool anyway. Our next minifigure is a Lando, again, but this Lando needs some stuff changed to be accurate. So, the problem this Lando has is correct helmet, correct torso, weapon, legs, the lot. The arms have to be white. And so I'm not willing to modify the original versions of some of these minifigures. So eventually, like, I'll probably, mostly because I'm a purist in that way, I'll probably order some versions of these white. I don't mind adding a cape to a figure because that improves them. I don't want to take off the original arms or stuff, so I'm going to order another one of these at some point because it's a decently cheap minifigure to swap out the arms, but I'll keep him there for now. Really cool minifigure indeed. From 06, the sail barge. Our next two minifigures are from those sets as well, or that set. We have Han Solo Skiff. Pretty cool Han Solo. I like the classic Han Solos without those old school faces. Those are just cool minifigures, full stop. Not got the holster or anything because he's not long out the carbonite. And we'll be talking about the extra toggle stuff during this video as well, but pretty cool anyway. The next one is Leia, and her chain's going to be a problem, I think. Because I did leave the chain on, so I didn't lose it. But this is Slave Leia. This is pretty accurate to the game. Again, some of these sets came out when the game came out, or the designs were finalised by LEGO, so TT Games just used them. This is one of those examples, looks pretty good. And I would argue, and a lot of people will, that this is better looking than that one we got last year in the giant sail barge. So we can put her back there. I've had to have the chain kind of lie behind other figures. So our next two figures are quite basic. This is just your standard Darth Vader from the early years, nothing too special. There's the head. Looks pretty decent. Again, just any Darth Vader from that era would do. There's not like any special thing about that figure. Our next one is a standard B1 battle droid that you go around and play as, which is quite cool. It's got the, I suppose there should be a lever on this. I just need to source a lever piece, but it's got the backpack. He's got that classic megaphone blaster, which is just it's just cool. That minifigure will go back there, and I guarantee I put that in the wrong place. Something I'll have to fix later on. Let's go fix that minifigure a bit better. But yeah, so our next minifigure is kind of basic. It's a Darth Maul from 07, because in the game they do depict his pupils. So I could have went for the 1999 version, but I feel like the 07 one, at least for me, I'm only making some calls and some changes throughout this, but I feel this was the best one to use. Pretty cool minifigure. This is the one that you got in his Infiltrator from that year. I love those classic minifigures. They just have such a cool look to them. Our next minifigure is one that technically is inaccurate if you really want to get into things deeply. This figure is incorrect. I suppose if you really want to get into it. But this is Zam Wesell from 2002 from the Bounty Hunter Pursuit. So yeah, I probably should change the weapon at some point. That's just the weapon I gave the figure when I got it years ago. Technically, she has a flesh tone head. Now, one way we could have got around this by twisting this round to her face when after Django shot her, and you could have it like that. But I don't really recall seeing that face in the game, so she's like that for now. I don't know if I'm going to go spend, because Zam Wesell, especially the release of the UCS Slave 1, I've seen Zam Wesell's prices go up. So unless someone makes a really good custom of this, like with pad printing, like a non-official LEGO torso or whatever, like a cheaper way of getting one in the correct colours, I don't know. Again, at the end, I'll talk about ones I'm willing to replace and ones I'm willing to make exceptions to, because I'm not completely sure where I want to go with some. Next one's a pretty cool minifigure, classic one. This is a Phase 1 Clone Trooper released in 2002. Standard enough minifigure, pretty cool. Not one that you can army build, but still pretty nice anyway. He's in the gunship and the ATE from that era. Our next up is a minifigure that is also technically inaccurate, because he's not purple and he's not got white plating. This is the original Jango Fett from 2002 from the Slave 1. The only issue really with this one is, again, the colouring. But honestly, unless I find one of those customs for a good price, I'm sticking with this, the original. Like I said, I'll talk about it at the end, but my goal is to stick as to the original Lego as possible, even that means a few bits of detail or sacrifice. But as long as it looks the part, I'm happy. And I'm more than happy just to use this classic Jango Fett unless someone makes a decently cheap custom of it. So there's that. Our next minifigure is a direct flesh swap from the 2002 one. So this is Boba Fett. So this is essentially just the figure that came out in 02 in the Slave 1, but swapped to be flesh. Nothing too much else to show. Our next minifigure is something pretty cool. So in 2005, a lot of figures came as light up. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luminara, Mace Windu, and Darth Vader all had light up hilts. Now, the Vader was always available without a light up hilt. And those versions of Anakin and Obi-Wan with the capes and Obi-Wan with the hood, like, those never got non-light up versions, nor did Luminara. The only light up figure that came out the next year was Mace Windu, which you will see in this video. He had a non-light up hilt, but that's the Turbo Tank's the only set that continued living after that. And they just swapped him out and substituted it with a clone trooper. But Luminara from the Catamaran did not, so this is a pretty cool custom we got here, if I can take her out. So this is meant to be the 05 Luminara with the light up hilt, but she has a regular arm. She is a normal minifigure now, which is pretty cool. I do like the light up ones, but they wouldn't be accurate in this case for these videos. So yeah, our next custom is another Jedi, because a lot of the Jedi minifigures didn't quite exist yet. This is Kit Fisto, which does look a bit odd, but this is one of the first custom minifigures I actually bought that wasn't a clone trooper. Pretty cool minifigure. I'm not sure if the cape is entirely accurate. Again, I'm probably going to play through the game as I'm doing this here, so I'm not playing through the game in a good few years, so I can double check accuracy of some things. But this is a really nice Kit Fisto, and he just goes right back there. The next minifigure is one that I actually had to pre-order from the maker, and I don't think that this one is still available. This is a Aayla Secura, which is a really cool looking minifigure with a custom piece there. Like, I'm not as picky. I know you get some people on this who are like, it must be pad printed, it must be like certain spec for the customs. I'm not caring if it's decal, pad printed, UV print. I'm not really caring about any of that. And this is a really cool minifigure. Love this figure. And some of the people I've seen making customs even go as far to make them in the old Lego colours, but it's just colouring, they're not actually going for that old plastic, which is nice, because that stuff was brittle. But really nice looking Aayla Secura minifigure indeed. And I've dropped the Aayla Secura minifigure. Got a bit of a blooper there. I'm professional. So yeah, I'm going to put that figure there. The next one is another flesh swap, but it's a really cool face. This is Count Dooku. And as you can see, this one has a really possessed looking face, but this is like the best one I could get. And by the way, I would like to point out in the comments, if anybody knows any good custom minifigure manufacturers, please share them with me. That'd be really helpful. But really nice looking minifigure there. Our next one is the custom minifigure that kind of inspired the whole thing. Because when I saw one of these for sale on Instagram, kind of like the Palpatine, I just had to get one. This is a custom version of a... And the arm does fall off a little bit if you're too rough. This is meant to be the Magna Guard. And yeah, some people complain, oh, it doesn't have the whole head print all the way around. But this one, I mean, for what it was, I really like this minifigure. This is a badass minifigure, 100%. In fact, I was considering briefly making this the thumbnail for this, but I've got another idea in mind, which you'll have seen. But really nice. Like, the staff is different. Like, if you've seen the official one that we got in 2008, you'll know the difference. But really cool looking minifigure all around. I'm not really big for, I wouldn't really army build customs, but I would have a second one of those just to go with Grievous. Speaking of which, we have the original General Grievous from 2005. Now, I do need to swap out his cape for an accurate one. It's from the set Grievous Chase, but I think when I bought that, I may have got the wrong cape, because it's meant to have a symbol. It's meant to have, like, his symbol on the back, but it's a really cool looking minifigure. Yes, it's not an accurate looking minifigure by any means. It's 2005, but I like the charm that this original one has. But yeah, I'm going to put that one back there. Not the, like I said, not the most accurate minifigure, but some of these, that's kind of part of the charm with a few of these minifigures. So let's keep going. So our next up minifigure, and these used to be quite expensive back in the day. This is a Wookiee Warrior. Really cool looking minifigure. The gold unfortunately has faded on the top, unless I buy a new copy of one of those old episode 3 sets, which I'm slightly tempted to do for a set anyway. Regardless of this project, you can't really get them fully gold on top anymore, but really cool minifigure. I remember maybe about 10-15 years ago, these were some of the most expensive figures, or they weren't like that, but they were still like, they weren't massable. Pretty cool minifigure. This one's from the 2005 Wookiee Catamaran and the Wookiee Attack set. The next couple minifigures are some classics, the arm building community up. So we got a Phase 2 Clone Trooper here from 2005, and this is a pretty cool minifigure. Obviously these were in the turbo tank, they were in the battle pack, but pretty much I do need to swap out this one for a classic megaphone blaster. I just need to find one that has, again, I need to dig through my collection even deeper for some of these, so there'll be like figures that do get occasional changes, but still cool. Anyway, our next minifigure up, and the next three do have the, and I really failed at that there. Next few do have the classic megaphone blasters, as they should. This is the Clone Pilot from the Arc 170 back in the day. I think this was in something else as well. It was in the Arc 170, in the V-Wing that came out the year after. But pretty cool, got the really nice logos on the helmet. Obviously this is back in the day when they just cut the holes out in the helmets. Our next one up is probably the most expensive of these clone troopers, and this is the Kashyyyk style on the 442nd clone troopers. These must be about 60 or 70 pounds each now, something like that. I've had this one for a couple of years. I think I paid about 45 for this one. But really cool, anyway, from the Kashyyyk levels, because weirdly enough, this game does not include, the game did not have the 501st or 212 represented, which is funny, because LEGO didn't do them either, yet those are the two main legions you see in Revenge of the Sith. Our next one up is from the AT-RT from 05, which is essentially a complete Saga rideable vehicle. This is the Clone Trooper Recon clone. It's got the binoculars, that classic piece, looks really, really good. But there, our next one, so I was talking earlier about the turbo tank, and if you bought that set, a copy that was made in 2006, they took away the light up window, and they gave you an extra clone trooper and gave you this instead. So this is Mace Windu with a regular arm, same printing and everything as the other version, but without the light up. Really cool minifigure, made this series quite easy that this exists, and funny enough, you can sometimes find this figure selling for more than the light up one does, which is kind of ironic, but really cool looking minifigure with no back print, and really nice. I'll have to source a custom version of Windu from Attack of the Clones, because LEGO did not do that. And the next figure we've got, unfortunately, has a yellowed helmet. This is something I got in a bulk lot a couple of years ago. I quite often forget I have this. This is a clone trooper, and it took sometimes the figures take the bricks with them. If you're familiar with the stand I used, then you'll understand. I don't know how obvious the yellowing is. Yeah, it's quite obvious on camera. This is the original Stormtrooper. Again, like some things will get fixed over time, but this will be an interesting series as we go along. So it looks pretty nice. Got that old school blaster, yellow head, which was commonplace at the time, and he has that mustache looking print. Now I need to double check that is the most accurate one I can get, because I'm trying in some areas to do as much as I can without going to custom minifigures. That's why I'm not bothered about a figure's facial expression too much. Because, like, yeah, it'd be cool if all these had complete Saga-esque expressions, but that's more money we need to funnel into this. Next up is a Imperial Officer from 2005, I believe. This is the Imperial Inspection version of the minifigure, which, weirdly enough, in 05, now I thought this was weird. In fact, you can actually see the box for that set at the background. I thought it was a bit weird that this one had pupils, because it's 2005, nothing really had pupils then. Nope, this is one of the first LEGO Star Wars sets where figures have pupils, which is, say I'd printed like Stormtroopers. It's one of those very kind of luxury sets for back then. Our next one is another real minifigure that exists, and it's Grand Moff Tarkin from the 06 Star Destroyer, and was later in the 08 Death Star. Not too much to say, but yeah. Again, some of these figures are a bit, there's not a whole bunch to talk about. The custom ones are probably the more interesting ones to talk about. Now, the next minifigure up, I can't decide if I'm going to go with this one. It looks accurate to the game. But then again, I'm going to be playing through the game over the next couple of weeks here and there when I'm not busy, if that opportunity comes. And I'll be double checking like different things, because also I could Google the pictures of all these minifigures and stuff as well. There's other ways to, but these are the ones I came to the conclusion of. This is Han Solo from the Hoth levels. That's one of the ones you buy in the canteen. It's not all these figures are ones you play as in the basic levels, but I mean, he looks all right to me. He looks the part. Again, I will have to remove the figures that have the updated blasters, this style of blaster which came out in 07, but yeah, it looks Speaking of Hoth, we have Dak Rattler from 07. Perfect. Looks basically how it needs to look. Perfect. Not going to change anything about it. That'll be the one I go for. We've got a Snowtrooper, and now the Snowtrooper looks the part to me. I know there's an older version I could go for in terms of being accurate, so again, I'll be checking things. So if in an episode I'm adding a figure and I'm changing it, I'll discuss it at the same time. But yeah, Snowtrooper. And next up is a Gamorrean Guard from 2003 from Jabba's Prize. This one looks quite good. Got the grey arms, because there's four different Gamorrean Guards. You've got that one with the grey arms, 06 of brown arms, 2012 with the print, and 2022 where it's like those two are just on a different level. So our next up figure we got here is Boba Fett. Looks pretty good. It's the standard Boba Fett from that era. Yes, I'm aware he should have a different blaster. Again, these are all things I will change eventually. Next up, standard figure, Royal Guard. Again, these are the ones from the 2008 Death Star. I should probably swap this one out for the Red Hands version. I just need to find one. Next up, we got Palpatine. So, this is the one from Imperial Inspection, which is quite a rare minifigure. But, yeah, his facial expression isn't accurate, but again, everything else about him is, so it's perfect. And our last custom minifigure to point out is the one that probably looks at the camera the most. This is a custom Admiral Akbar. And this is something I found randomly through eBay. And it's made by Chaos Customs. I've not been able to find a website or anything for them. So if someone to find something like that would be kind of great. But this looks perfect. It is a custom painted head. Again, in some areas you kind of have to go with what you can find. This looks quite good to me. I'm happy with it. Now the next figure is one that again I may change based on preference. Or just stuff that, you know, maybe not stuff, but like change it based on source material. This is meant to be IG-88. I guess use the Chrome Assassin droid from the Clone Wars because it kind of looked right. I know there is an official figure from around 2006. I'm not entirely sure what the difference between that and this are. We'll find out. And two more to go. We got a Astromech. Now, I have to double check the head print to make sure if it's correct or not. I don't actually know. Again, I need to do some more research, but it's the one from 2008 Death Star. And the last figure, because who's crucial to this plot of Star Wars, evidently, Indiana Jones, because for those who don't remember or didn't know, you can unlock the trailer for this in the game, and then you can go to the cantina and buy the character, so I've thrown him in there. And so a few things to talk about. I'm not bothered about the most accurate figures in the world, right? I'm not caring about what process they are for printing and making. And like, so if it's pad printed, decaled, or any, I'm not too bothered. UV printed, they're all just as good for me. For example, like, and with the Lego ones as well, I don't mind having to make the occasional change. I'm not going to go swapping out Anakin and Obi-Wan's heads. I'm aware that there's a guy on Instagram who sells those minifigures as a bulk lot, like all the Jedi from this game is one thing. So just little things like that. Yeah, I need to add some capes. I'll need to source. There's some figures in this that I know exist. They're going to be expensive though, like the Kaminoans. Now, my end goal for this project is to end it by the end of 2027, which will be 20 years of the complete saga, and I feel really old now. That's kind of my goal for finishing it. This video has been almost as long as my recent Clone Army video, but it kind of had to be. It's worth it. Now, eventually, maybe I'll expand the stand, because the way the game works is, you know, technically, Qui-Gon should be there and Chewbacca should be all the way at the end of the run of minifigures so that it looks exactly like the menu option screen. I've even seen a guy selling studs with the, like the character studs that you see in the cantina with the figure's face on them. So it'd be kind of cool if I could make a really big stand for the final with all the studs underneath, like gaps, and with like all the minifigures head studs, something like that. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you guys know any custom manufacturers or any way of doing this, let me know down in the comments. Bye.